Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, dear students? I hope everyone is fine and be healthy. Today we are going to study one of the most important topic that is belong to 9th class, the phylum cnidarians or coelenterates. We have studied in the previous lessons the kingdom Animalia. In kingdom Animalia we have studied the phylum Sponges. Today we are going to study the second phylum, that is coelenterates or phylum cnidarians, we can say. If we look, they are invertebrate animals. Invertebrate means the living organisms with no backbone. They don't have their backbone. Three classes we have in this phylum: Hydrozoa, Anthozoa and Scyphozoa. First of all, we are coming to the characteristics of coelenterates. The first characteristic, they have the soft bodies. Their bodies are soft. They don't have any system. Simple living organisms, multicellular, but they don't have systems. They are not complex. They are simple. Contain central cavity with only one opening. Their body have a central cavity. In the central cavity there is a mouth, and this mouth is located in the upper part of this living organism. So we can say they contain central cavity with only one opening. Radial symmetry they have. In previous lessons we have studied the symmetry. Three types of symmetries we had in the living organisms: bilateral symmetry, radial symmetry and asymmetry. So the coelenterates have which type of symmetry? Radial symmetry. Radial symmetry. Their body is hollow. It means that they have the empty structure in their body. Inside the body we have the hollow structures or hollow body with one opening or mouth which is located in the upper side. Surrounding the mouth there are arm-like structures, and these structures are called tentacles. These structures are around the mouth, and the name of these structures are tentacle, and these tentacle have arm-like structure like our arms. So their arm-like structure are tentacles. They have two tissues layer in their body. Two layers they have like skin. What are they? The first one is the ectoderm and the second layer is the endoderm. Ectoderm is located in the outside and the endoderm is in the inside. So two tissues layer they have. Aquatic animals, they live in water. They are aquatic. Some live in fresh water and most of them are living in the oceans or sea water. So they are aquatic animals. Example of the aquatic animal in this phylum: Hydra. Hydra is a typical example or the common example, we can say. Hydra live in fresh water. Where we can find the Hydra? In fresh water. But most of them live in the salty water or in oceans. But most other are marine. Marines mean they live in oceans, in salty water. They use tentacles. They have arm-like structure which are called tentacles. What are the tentacles? Tentacles are arm-like structure, function to stun or kill other animals. They are using these tentacles for their prey, and they reproduce sexually and asexually. Two types of reproduction we have in their body: sexually and asexually. Asexually reproduction is like budding. They are making a bud in their body surface. After the bud is separating from the body and the bud is becoming a new living organism. So this type of reproduction is the asexual reproduction. And sexual reproduction, there are two genders, male and female. Male and female reproduce different types of gametes or reproductive cells. The male reproductive cell is sperm and the female reproductive cell is ovum. Sperm and ovum are combining with each other and there is a process. This process is called the fertilization. After the fertilization, we can get a new living organism. So this type of reproduction is sexually reproduction. So coelenterates have both reproduction, sexually and also asexually. If we look to their body, they have two types of body forms. Two body forms or two structures they have. The first one is the polyp structure or form, and the second one is the medusa form. What is the polyp? Polyp, these animals which have, or the coelenterates which have the polyp body form, they are sessile. Sessile means they cannot move from one place to another place. They are constant in one place. They cannot move. They are immovable, or they are sessile. So the polyp is the sessile forms. Their bodies are tubular, tube-like structure. Inside the body there is a cavity, and this cavity is empty. So they have the tube-like structures or tubular bodies. One opening around the tentacles. This opening works as both mouth and anus. Mouth is the structure by which we can eat, and anus is the structure in our digestive system, also in the animal's digestive system, through the waste products outside from their body. So other types of animals have in their digestive system two structures, mouth and anus. They are different from each other. But in coelenterates, the polyp form of these animals, they have just one opening, and this one opening works as both mouth and anus. They can eat through this one opening, and also they can remove the waste reproducts of their foods from the same structure. That is, mouth and anus works both in this living organism. So we can give an example of this living organism or the polyp form, hydra. And the medusa form, these living organism or coelenterates swim freely in the water. They can go from one place to another place. They can move, they can swim in the water. They have flat umbrella shape. If we look to their body form, they have umbrella-like shape. Which type of umbrella? An opened umbrella. So flat umbrella shape. And their bodies are jelly-like. Body structure is which type? Jelly-like structure. They are soft. So some groups have both forms. There are some groups in the coelenterates which they have both forms. In their first stage of their lives, it is the polyp form. When they become adult, they are reducing this polyp form. After that, they are becoming to which form? To medusa form. They are swimming, or they can move from one place to another place in the water. So jellyfish, we can give an example of the medusa form. Jellyfish can swim in the water, so it is the medusa. But the hydra cannot move. They are just in one place. They are attaching to the floor of the ocean or on the rocks. So we can say these two forms we have in the coelenterates. Types of coelenterates. Three types or three classes we have in the coelenterates, which we mentioned before: hydrozoa, anthozoa, and scyphozoa. Now we are coming to discuss the first class, that is hydrozoa. Hydrozoa, simple multicellular animal. It is simple living organism, but multicellular. It is made up of many cells, but they don't have complex body structures. So simple multicellular animal, it attaches itself onto rocks on the floor of the ocean. So hydrozoa, we can say which type of the form? Polyp form. They are sessile, they cannot move, they are attached. Where? On the rocks. And mostly they are marine. We can see, or we can find them in the marine. Also in fresh water, some of them can live in the fresh water. They have polyp shape, most most of the time, but some are in medusa shape. Hydrozoa is the class of the coelenterates, and Hydra is an example of the hydrozoa. Some form make colonies, or some hydrozoa are living together and their life is together with each other. This type of life in which the living organisms live together, so this type of life is called colony life, colonial life. So some of the hydrozoa live in colonies structure or in colony state around their mouth. In other characteristics, around the mouth they have 6 to 8 tentacles, arm-like structure. What is the function of the tentacles? Tentacles are active in movement. They use the tentacles for movement and they are active for moving, and also they are using these tentacles for feeding, to capture other living organisms for their foods or as a food source. In that case, they are feeding with these tentacles. Second class, Anthozoa. The second class of the coelenterate is the Anthozoa, or we can say sea animals. Sea animals live under the water, or also we can say sea animals are like underwater flower. If we look to them, they look like flowers. And which type of flowers? Under the water flower. Characteristics of Anthozoa. When a fish passes over the anemones or Anthozoa, they have stinging cells. Which type of cell? Stinging cell. These stinging cells poison the fish. For example, there is in the bottom of the ocean, what? Sea anemone. Over the sea anemone, a fish is passing. It is going over the sea anemone. Sea anemone using its stinging cells. Now these stinging cells have some chemicals. These chemicals are poisoning chemicals, and they are poison the fishing. So we can say when a fish passes through the anemone's stinging cell poison the fish. When the fish become poisoned, after that they are eating and they can get it like their food sources. So they feed on some living organisms which are in the water, or they live in the oceans. What are these living organisms? Fishes, crabs, snails, sea urchins. These are all the living organisms which make the food for Anthozoa or sea anemones. They have radial symmetry. Which type of symmetry? Radial symmetry. And they live in colony state. They make colonies, so they are colonial. And they are sessile. They cannot go or they cannot move from one place to another place. So we can say that they are the polyp form. Their body form is the polyp form. They cannot move from one place to another place. And the third class of the coelenterates is Scyphozoa. Scyphozoa, umbrella shaped. Which type of shaped? Umbrella shaped. Mostly pelagic. Pelagic means the living organisms which live in oceans. Oceanic we can say, or the living organism which live in the seas. So they are pelagic. They live in the oceans, or marine. Also we can use this term. They have the same meaning. Their polyp forms are usually reduced. At the first time of their lives, they have the polyp shape or polyp form of their body. It means they are sessile. They cannot move from one place to another. When they are becoming adult, after that they are reducing their polyp form. They are returning, or they are changing their body form to medusa form. After that they can move from one place to another place. They have large sizes, they have stinging cells, which are used for capturing prey. In stinging cells, there are some poisonic materials which poisons the other living organisms. When they become poisoned, after that they are capturing them as their prey, and they eat them and can get their food from these living organisms. And the scyphozoa reproduce sexually and asexually. The asexual reproduction is like budding. So it was your today's lesson. If you have got any question, you can ask in the WhatsApp group. Have a good time.